These midterms are going to be difficult for Republicans. Midterms are often a time when White Houses see a lot of turnover. I would not be surprised to see that again. Caroline Leavitt is not the first person to leave in recent weeks. We also had the White House, the top lawyer at the White House, leave very recently, and we would expect to see some more turnover through and after these elections.
Earlier this week, White House press secretary and one of Donald Trump's staunchest allies, Carolyn Levitt, announced that she will be stepping down at the end of the month. Levitt, who is only 28 and has been working for Trump for her entire adult career, says she took the decision in order to spend more time with her 2 young children and 61-year-old husband. Her tenure has been marked with regular clashes with reporters.
So you're a biased reporter with a left-wing opinion.
What do you want me to do?
Yeah, because you're a left-wing hack. You're not a reporter. You're posing in this room as a journalist. Of course the president supports peaceful protest. What a stupid question. I think it's insulting that you're trying to test my knowledge of economics and the decisions that this president has made. I'm now regret giving a question to the Associated Press later.
Is there any evidence on that he wasn't aware of it?
You're a reporter. You should find out. Does anyone have any questions for Patty or for me? No?
I have a question.
No. Anybody? We'll see you all later.
Wow. Here to tell us more is Trevor Hunnicutt, White House correspondent for the Reuters news agency. There are allegedly no plans to replace her until the midterm elections in November, with senior members of the administration filling in until a replacement is found. Trevor, you've sat in on plenty of Levitt's briefings. How would you describe her tenure?
So there is the tenure you wonderfully captured in that series of clips there, which is the cheerful a warrior is speaking on behalf of the president and doing so very aggressively. That was one half of Caroline Leavitt's role, but then there was also the behind the scenes role where she cultivated and courted a lot of those same journalists that she was yelling at in some of those clips, and so those are kind of two sides of the same coin, and two different approaches that she used simultaneously to try to get the president's message out.
I might be wrong in this, but it seems to me that was she part of getting rid of in the White House pool of maybe some more what you'd call legacy media and introducing more propagandists, or would that be unfair?
No. One of the key aspects of her tenure was seizing control of the assignments of who would be in the protective pool that oversees the president. That was normally a decision that was made by the press corps prior to Ms. Leavitt's term, and they decided that they would come up with a list of reporters who would be with the president on the plane or in the Oval Office, and so that definitely produced a market change in the types of questions that were asked of the president.
What, in your opinion, made her so successful in this role? Because she did seem, she got on with Trump, and she did seem to be, successful at keeping the legacy media in place.
Well, yeah. So, and I do think it goes back to the two sides of the same coin that we talked about earlier. One is her appearances on TV. She was combative, and I think got the president's message out. Sometimes in the face of hostile or skeptical questions. But then also she did take time with reporters, mainstream reporters included, to privately cultivate them and to try to get her message out in a more friendly way behind the scenes.
So I'm getting the feeling from you that you liked her.
Well, my job is to work with whoever serves in that role, and to try to get the most out of them. And it's an inherently adversarial relationship, because oftentimes you're asking questions about things that they do not want released, and then oftentimes you're asking for access that they're not willing to give. Right. So, the legacy of this White House is that they made the president very accessible. He speaks to the press almost daily, but at the same time there were transparency and access issues that we did deal with, including the closure of the press secretary's office from reporters being able to walk up there and go speak to the press secretary directly, as they have in past administrations.
How do you think she compares to previous White House press secretaries?
So one thing that is notable about Karoline Leavitt is that she had tremendous access to the president. It was always clear that she was able to speak with him directly, and that the things that she was saying were reflections of things that he had told her directly. We don't always have that with prior press secretaries. There were, people will mention Joe Biden's final press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre, who did not often seem to speak with that same level of access. So that is one area where Karoline will be remembered as having pretty close access to this president.
Now, she said that she's leaving because I think she's just had a second child. She wants to spend more time with her family, which is often, it's often used as an excuse when people are leaving political life. But some people have said she might have been a little miffed at being used as a decoy recently when Trump disappeared into another plane. Do you think that's any truth in that?
No, I don't. She was not on the trip to Turkey, so I don't think that was a factor. But the job was incredibly demanding. The president remains incredibly demanding of the people who communicate on his behalf. This might be one of the toughest jobs in Washington, and he was openly critical of the publicity he was getting and his publicists, including Ms. Leavitt. So this is a tough job, and you come in for criticism from your boss doing it.
Do you think Trump's going to find Levitt impossible to replace?
I think recruiting for this particular role will be difficult. Finding someone who is able to communicate effectively with the mainstream media, but also do so in a way that Trump does not feel like he needs to edit or correct. It's a very, very specific kind of person you're looking for.
So, presumably one of the reasons is it's going to be difficult to find someone, but why would Trump want to wait until after the midterms before announcing a replacement?
Well, he has not answered that question, but an obvious hypothesis is that the president wants to be his own top messenger heading into these midterms.
Now, Karoline Leavitt. Some people, I've got a listener here, James, saying Carolyn Levitt is getting out before Trump and the Republicans get humiliated in the upcoming midterm elections. A case of a big rat leaving a sinking ship. Too strong?
Well, what we should realize here is that these midterms are going to be difficult for Republicans. Midterms are often a time when White Houses see a lot of turnover. I would not be surprised to see that again. Karoline Leavitt is not the first person to leave in recent weeks. We also had the White House, the top lawyer at the White House, leave very recently. And we would expect to see some more turnover through and after these elections.
Trevor Hunnicutt, White House correspondent for the Reuters news agency. Thank you very much for joining me.